We built a global digital network to bring humans closer together, but we accidentally engineered an environment perfectly designed to make us feel entirely alone. You can carry the voices, faces, and thoughts of billions of people in your pocket, yet still feel completely isolated. Researchers have a precise term for this condition: connected loneliness. It is widespread enough that the United States Surgeon General officially declared it a public health epidemic. The medical data reveals that this specific type of isolation carries a mortality risk comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. We are sending more direct messages, uploading more photos, and broadcasting more daily updates than any generation in history. Yet, cross-cultural studies show that the more time people spend interacting on these digital platforms, the higher their reported levels of psychological emptiness. This happens because we aren't actually connecting with peers. We are performing for spectators. This creates a specific social dynamic, where we are surrounded by an audience of followers, yet operate in a void of reciprocal intimacy. It mirrors the isolation of a cinematic antagonist, someone who is visible to everyone, but known by no one. Feeling lonely while you are hyper-connected is not a personal character flaw. It is the predictable mathematical outcome of the digital environment we have engineered. To understand why this happens, we have to look at our biology. The human nervous system evolved over 300,000 years in small, physically intimate hunter-gatherer tribes. Anthropologists refer to our natural social limit as Dunbar's number, which caps our functional communities at roughly 150 physically present people. Because of that environment, your brain requires specific physical inputs to feel safe. It looks for physical proximity. It listens for the shared rhythm of breathing in a quiet room. It requires eye contact held just long enough to register mutual awareness. These physical markers do something crucial. They trigger the release of oxytocin. That is the specific bonding hormone your body requires to regulate your nervous system and signal to your brain that you actually belong to a group. This comparative flowchart maps out the problem. On the left, you can see that physical interaction successfully releases oxytocin. On the right, we see the digital substitute. A heart emoji or a quick direct message does not trigger oxytocin. Instead, it activates a superficial dopamine loop, a cheap simulation of connection. And as the right side updates to a line graph, you can see the immediate aftermath. That digital dopamine hit evaporates almost instantly. In its place, the body registers a sharp spike in cortisol, your stress hormone. That feeling of anxiety is what drives you to reopen the app and keep scrolling. Social algorithms exploit these ancient survival mechanisms. They bypass the physical requirements for connection and leave your brain starved, triggering a state of panic identical to being abandoned in the ancestral wilderness. Long before the internet, the German philosopher Martin Heidegger introduced a concept called Mitsein, or being with. He argued that human existence does not happen in a vacuum. Our very nature dictates that we exist alongside and interact with others. The algorithm replaces true Mitsein with an illusion of presence. Instead of participating in a shared reality, users are converted into passive spectators, endlessly scrolling through curated, flawless highlight reels of other people's lives. This demands a relentless psychological performance. When you post, you act as your own editor. You filter the image, write the perfect caption, and sanitize your reality for a panopticon of invisible digital judges, hoping for enough engagement to validate your existence. Over time, this performance extracts a heavy toll. Psychologists call it self-concept confusion. The more you manage your digital image, the more you lose track of your actual identity beneath the persona. We face a double fracture. We are alienated from the strangers on the other side of the screen, and eventually, we are disconnected from the authentic person we've spent so much time hiding. Reclaiming that identity requires a tool that the digital world actively discourages: deliberate solitude. The psychologist Carl Jung viewed strict isolation not as a punishment, but as a necessary space to separate your authentic self from the noise of cultural and digital expectations. True physical solitude is an agonizing mirror. Without the constant numbing distraction of an algorithmic feed to scroll through, you are forced to sit in silence and actually listen to your own thoughts. Jung called the resulting struggle individuation. It is the process of using the discomfort of silence to confront buried insecurities, clear away borrowed identities, and reconstruct the raw, honest self that exists underneath the performance. Enduring the raw pain of physical isolation builds resilience. It is the only way to develop the deep self-awareness required to show up in the real world and form a genuine, unperformed connection with another human being. Real connection is highly inefficient. It requires enduring awkward silences. It involves boredom, messy conflict resolution, and the vulnerability of letting someone see you fail without a filter to hide behind. Real connection also carries strict biological requirements. Holding physical space for a friend in need, like actively choosing to hug them and waiting until they let go first, is the physical labor required to earn a shared release of serotonin. This kind of effort is entirely incompatible with an algorithm's objective. Platforms are designed to keep you just connected enough that you stay on the screen and just empty enough that you have to return to it. True belonging cannot be simulated by a platform. It requires the active, vulnerable choice to put down the device, endure the friction of reality, and turn toward a physical human face.